It's 1890, United States, New York. 2 times world champion, American top player Wilhelm Steinitz plays the match against Isidor Günsberg, Hungarian chess player, where he had actually very challenging match, and it came down to the 19th game out of 20, which decided the result of the match. Let's dive into the details. I decided to show you the 7th game of the match, where Steinitz managed to play a beautiful, fascinating. Starts with d4, d5, c4, and d takes c4. Queen's Gambit accepted, which is one of the favorite opening for the engines nowadays. If we'll be following any engines championships, there are many out there actually, you can check it out on many websites, they play this variation of it. e6, bishop takes here, and bishop b4. Bishop b4 is not as common. Mostly here black responds with c5, followed by a6, trying to get to b5, bishop b7, knight d7, and so on. On the other hand, white tries to do the similar stuff, especially with queen e2, e4, e5. So all the battle goes along the center. Anyways, bishop b4 check was played, knight c3, castles goes there, regular developing move, and white strikes immediately in the center with knight e. After bishop b7, goes with queen to b3. It was a bit strange decision that Günsberg decided to take the knight on c3, which allows white to get a bishop pair, quite active pieces in the center, and most importantly more pawns over there, which gains a lot of space. Instead of that, it would have been better to move the bishop back either on d6, even potentially e7, and try to argue that the queen doesn't really belong on b3, there might be a6, b5, or knight c6, knight a5 ideas in the future. Besides, after capturing it, it allows white's bishop to get activated, so try to avoid this kind of moves. After the trade, black responds with bishop d5, tries to neutralize white's bishop pair as soon as possible, but after the trades, white finishes the development very quickly and strikes through in the center immediately. Because of black's poor development and the knight can't go anywhere normal, knight e7 would lead to knight c6, it takes the queen. After queen c8 there's knight e7, winning an exchange. Black needs to make some tough decisions. White has very simple plan of putting the rooks along the center, and what would you do as black? Typically the best shot is to trade up as many pieces as possible, but it doesn't look like it's a simple task for black. So black goes with c5, tries to break through themselves. Rook c1, knight goes on it. I don't really blame black for playing these moves, because there is not many obvious continuations, all the pawns are hanging, the queen will be badly placed after rook d1, many issues overall. Knight e4. Rook d1, c takes, and after the trades, black goes with it. The main intention for black was that, okay, finally I can get rid of this knight, and when the knight leaves, maybe I can just finish the development of this knight later on, and I might feel okay. But Steinitz had something else in mind. After f6, it takes the knight. We don't play checkers. In checkers, you are forced to capture something if you can, or if your opponent attacks something, you have to make some quick actions. But in chess, we can just leave it as it is and play something else. So after f6, beautiful knight sacrifice, c takes d. After f takes c5, here comes d6 check, and after king h8, queen d5. We can argue that this is not even a sacrifice, because we gave up the knight, but on the very next move we are taking it back. I would agree with that, because sacrifice to me is something that you do it for the initiative, and you play for long term. Maybe you're down a piece for 2 pawns. Let's say in the first World Championship match, whatever we have seen, actually, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you to check out the playlist, where Wilhelm Steinitz gave up a knight for a good compensation. But now he's just taking the piece back, so it's like a combination, which he knows that in any case he will not beat down materially, so he goes with queen d5. Even though the engine doesn't like this move, absolutely it's a very human move and it's an amazing option indeed. Knight takes f2. And I really like the Steinitz decision right here. He didn't rush to take it immediately with the king, which would let black to get the quick development, go with knight d7, and try to use this king's bed placement, he went for rook d2. If you enjoy the content, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe the channel. Also, let me know in the comments which World Championship match would you like to see next. Again, the knight is hanging and white wants to capture it with the rook to keep the king safe, and the rook on a8 is under attack. So not much has changed. As the knight was hanging from e4 square on the previous move, it's the same situation right now. Try to play this kind of intermediate moves. I have seen a lot of people trying to take the knight immediately on f2, and it was not the best decision. Eventually they even managed to lose the game and completely miss the chances, so take a bit more time and do not rush at these times. It's really crucial. So knight e7, protecting the rook, rook takes f2 of course, and knight f6. This is another moment. If the queen leaves from d5 square, black can go with e takes d4, and there is not much pressure happening anymore. As black finally developed their b8 knight, at some point there will be rook c8 as well, and we might argue that, okay, what's white's next plan? Feels like black is already safe. But again, Steinitz was on a mood of sacrifices, and he went for another beautiful motif, rook takes f6. Well, black is in big trouble. They need to take it back with the pawn, because if the queen takes, there is d7. Attacks the rook, which needs to leave the e file, otherwise d8 will be coming. So let's say rook d8, there is d takes c5, e6, e7, pawns are just crashing through e and d files, and no defense to be seen here. So after rook f6, pawn has to take it back, and that's what Steinitz uses, pushes the pawn forward. If the rook needs to go some, probably g8 is the best, without giving up any material. D takes e5. F takes e5 would be a disaster because of many different reasons, but even after capturing it, let's say, and getting this rook g7, the move like bishop b2 can be in there. This d7 pawn is very annoying for black, and so on. It's not a comfortable position to play. So after d takes e5, black goes with rook g5. Takes the pawn on e5 and trying to get some counterplay, because if there is no e6 and e7, which of course ideally is white's best shots to win the game immediately, like somehow manage the pull of rook takes e5 and even give up an exchange, they might try to play for a draw. But here comes another easy sacrifice for Steinitz. Queen takes a8. Well, he sacrificed in the beginning the knight, then he sacrificed the rook, now the queen. What else is left? Queen takes a8. Check. Of course, if queen c8, there is d takes c8 with a promotion, so rook g8. Rook captures the queen and plays e6. e7, d8 or e8 is not possible to stop, therefore black called it a day and simply reset. Well, whenever we reach 10,000 subscribers, there will be a free giveaway video courses from my website, so help me reach this milestone as soon as possible.